And I'm going to start the recording now since we've done all the personal stuff there, just so we can capture our conversation. So you all know I'm Philip Schultz. I'm primarily at Vocal Essence. And in the youth space, we have the Singers of This Age, which we will meet once a week, every week in person. And we will also meet online as well every week. So we're shortening our in-person and deciding if it's going to be everybody every week or a small group, but we will meet in person every week in some form, and then we'll have an online that we've been doing throughout the summer. And so a lot of my context will be the stuff that we've been doing this summer. So we've been online and in person off and on throughout the summer, experimenting with a lot of things. And so pleased to share kids with a lot of your kids in a lot of your schools, particularly at South. A lot of great South kids in our program. And then I'm at Westwood Lutheran Church, and then also with the adults of Vocal Essence. So that's kind of my context. So this is going to be the fun conversation. They've all been great. We've had really good conversations. If you want to check our quick links, I'll have them all posted this evening. You can go back and watch with a glass of wine or whatever your beverage of choice is. And all the conversations kind of crossed over. Honestly, no one conversation really focused on the thing that I put out there. So there's some benefit in all of them. And Martha can tell you, she's been at all of them with me here since Monday. So let's frame it this way. And I really want to hear what you all want to talk about. I'm just going to throw one out to get us going, and then we'll see where this takes us. I'd like for us to take a moment to go around, building on what Carrie said, kind of a boost up there. Let's just list all the different ways that we can engage in collaborative music making through distance platforms. It's almost just like a roll call, rattling off the different ways that we can engage in music making. So I'm just going to throw out one. We can synchronously have students record at the same time while on mute, gather those tracks, and then turn it into something. So that's just one way. And if something doesn't make sense, we can go back and talk about the details of it. But why don't you all, we'll just take turns and see what's on your minds, and we'll just see where this takes us, because I think there's a lot of possibilities here. Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
We can play around with minor pentatonic, major pentatonic, blues in an aleatoric way, and kind of pinpoint what scale degrees, use hand signs if we want, and sing simultaneously that way.
Yep, unmute it that way where we can hear each other. Great. Someone else throw one in. Whether you've played with it yourself or you've just heard someone talk about it, it doesn't matter.
You can keep the singers can stay muted, and the teacher can play music either through recording or at their own keyboard, or sing, and call and response can ensue.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And to boost up what you said there, you gave us like two different things, Sue. You could do that all muted, right? Where they could be singing with you synchronously, or you could have them unmute and sing call and response with you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have finally had a chance to play around with the GarageBand, recording a track and creating a canon that then just with my own voice, but hopefully I might involve others to make that initial recording so that the others can sing along muted, but feeling like they're singing with others.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that comes in really handy if you want to break them into groups. Thinking if you have a section leader who does the guide track, and then they have that on their computer in the breakout room, if you're in Zoom, you can break them up that way. I understand Google Meets is supposed to be coming out with some kind of breakout format. I've not seen it implemented yet, but that's what I hear they're working on. October?
I know a hack. I know a way around it, though.
Oh, cool. You might have to share that with those who are using Google. Yeah. You want to go ahead and share it now?
Do you want to know? Are you guys on Google?
Yeah.
I hope to keep using.
Okay, so hopefully we're going to get the real way soon. But October is what they told us in the latest update. So what we do, I did this with some friends the other day, an experiment, and they're not music teachers, actually, they're science teachers. But what you do is you set up a Google Doc, and then you go in, and Philip's already got this because he's probably already figured out this hack. But
I've heard it. Someone told me about it.
yeah, you set up a Google Meet. But what I learned is that I have to not give the meeting a nickname. And then you copy the joining info, throw that on your Google Doc as your main meeting spot. Then go soprano, make a new meeting. Again, no nickname. It's very important to not nickname it because for some reason it won't let you in. And then you paste that joining info, soprano. Keep creating new meetings till you have all the breakout rooms you want. And now on that Google Doc, you just keep those links always, even though, yeah, there may be some shenanigans could occur. This is a temporary problem, and St. Paul Academy used it, and nobody creeped on, like no kids went in each other's class to be funny. And I mean, they're not going to do that really anyway. I mean, it's short. So what you do then is you put the link, you open your main meeting, everybody goes to the main meeting that you invite them to that doesn't have the nickname. And then you go in there, all of you are there, and you say, okay, it's time to break out into sections. And then in the chat, you put the link to the doc. They go in the doc and click on their meeting and go in. And then what you do to roam is you have to leave all the tabs. You have to have all the tabs open on your computer for all the rooms, okay, all the meetings. But you have to leave all the other meetings every single time or you'll keep hearing, right? It'll mess with your mic. So you leave, but leave the tab open because when you come back, all you have to do is click the rejoin button.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Makes
does.
sense. Hope I can remember it all.
Yeah.
Lori?
Yeah, there's another workaround that if you're not doing by sections, if you want to make it a little bit more, if you want to be grouping them maybe for mixed voices or just get to know you things. In Google Classroom, if you set up, you know how you can assign assignments to certain students?
Yep.
So then you can assign, you can make an assignment for these 6 students and it just goes to them. And then you make another assignment for another 6 students and it just goes to them. So another way, if it's not clearly defined what those groups are.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Makes sense.
You can also create like a list and just say, these are the people going in room A or whatever too. You can do that. That's what the science teacher did. I classified it, I turned it into here's how you could do sectionals, but yeah.
Yeah. The nice thing about the assignment one is it sends them an email notification and it has the link right in it. So they don't have to navigate anything and it only has the link they need to go to because you set up the meet for that group, if that makes sense. So that's just if you want a more mixed grouping.
Yeah.
Or more contained within
And
your
also,
Google Classroom. Yeah.
Exactly. Private. It makes it easier to maintain, you know, integrity of where they're going.
And hopefully this will all end in October and we'll be able to do it like Zoom and be cool.
Yeah. That's great that there is the workaround. Thank you for sharing that. I heard about it. I don't play on Google much, but we talked about it in our class this summer at St. Thomas because I knew all the St. Paul teachers were going to be on Google. So we talked about some of the things you could do, but we didn't talk about how to work around the breakout rooms. So that's
There is a Chrome extension that is in beta or something because that was originally what was happening in this. I was in a meeting about something totally unrelated and then this guy wanted to try this Chrome extension. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And he couldn't get it to work because I think what had to happen, what we learned is that we all had to have that Chrome extension. Well, then we realized there was no way all those kids were going to do that and be able to get in. And that was going to be too tricky to navigate, making sure every single kid had that extension. So we let it go. And then this other guy said, well, but my wife teaches at SPA and she does this. Let's try it. And yeah.
Yeah. And I will tell you, having played around with this, like since the beginning, I didn't know anything else to do but to keep meeting. Like literally, I was just defiant. I was like, well, we got to meet somehow. Let's go to Zoom. And I just bought a Zoom actually the first 2 weeks was on the 40-minute thing. So our meetings kept getting cut off before they extended it. And then I finally bought in. But I get to that to say that the ability to break out is one of the most powerful things you have as far as, creating creativity. That's where I really had my early success, assigning them to do fun things that were musical and creative, AKA like for right now, is everyone unmuted right now?
Oh, I am.
Okay. And welcome, Siri. Glad you're here. Um, let's sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, phrase by phrase. And our goal is to not let there be a gap in between us. So I'm going to start, and then Patty, you're going to go next, then Sarah, then Sue, Carrie, Lori, Martha. And Siri, I don't know if you're unmuted or not. You're muted, so you can just listen. And we'll see if we can do this. Okay? Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How I wonder what you are.
Up above the world so high.
Like a diamond in the sky.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How I wonder what you are.
Martha's choice. You get to sing whatever phrase you want. No, just kidding. I didn't count. I should have counted. But that's a fun game when you send them to a room and tell them that, visit with each other and then choose a song that you can sing in phrases, and everybody chooses a phrase, and we're going to see which group can come out and make it be the most musical. Like we started putting musical things with it there. Simple, but I went a few weeks with that with all my choirs, like the adults at church, the youth choirs, and that was like a good 10-minute activity because it was 5 minutes of checking in and just that social emotional stuff, making sure everybody's doing well, and then 5 minutes of creating together. And so when you're talking about 110 minutes or 90 minutes, you're going to need some of those kind of filler musical things in addition to your curricular things to keep this going. So now you've got that, take your creativity and have fun. Because there's so many other variants of that you can do it. I've done like jazz circle type things and whatnot in Zoom in the small groups. It doesn't work as well in the big group because people get a little bored, when it's like 30 people. But in the small group, it's intimate and it feels good. So Siri, we introduced ourselves, and I'll let you do that. And we've just been bouncing around thinking of all the different ways we can engage in online collaborative music making.
Cool. Hi, I'm Siri Keller. Sorry I'm late. I was doing stuff and lost track of time. And I have a new position this year. I will be teaching at Como Park Senior High. So
You got the Como gig.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't told a lot of people yet, so slowly but surely.
Wow. Do your kids know yet?
Isaiah does. I don't know if Isaiah does yet. I sent a lot of letters and I have gotten a lot back with wrong addresses. So campus is not updated, but I've been sending out letters. So
okay.
Kids are starting to find out.
Gotcha. Well, that's very exciting. I was wondering who was going to follow Carol Whitney there. That's a great place to be. Well, when you can get in the building, it's a great school.
I've actually been in quite a bit. They are finishing up construction, and so everything is a mess.
Yeah.
It's just, so I got granted some extra time to go in and look at stuff. So,
well, let's talk after this because now I want to know who's at creative arts and all that stuff, but we'll do that on our own time.
Yeah.
So let's continue bouncing around ideas. So we got the Google Meets hack. I mean, this has been really productive already, and we're just getting going. Other collaborative music making things. Carrie, I know you've been playing around with stuff, so I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I know you got something that you're noodling on that you've been playing with.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are going to do a lot of composition this semester, a lot of youth composition, and I'm not a composer. And I feel like if I can teach youth how to compose, then anybody can. And it's going to look however the class looks. So whatever their skills are, that will kind of guide what the lesson is. But, spending time with them just creating without actual sheet music and thinking about lyrics. So I think that's a really good like longer term plan too, and it doesn't include too much singing because they could do it, you know, on instruments or body percussion or um, you know, from on their own time if that's something that your school is offering. But I found that the lyrics are especially a really great activity right now because it's just a way for them to all choose their own narrative and what they want to talk about, however serious or kind of light it is. And with the kind of musical aspect of the composition, it can also just be as, you know, on any skill level. So I found some success doing that over the summer, and I'm interested to see what happens this fall. We're lucky to have a teaching artist, and it's not official yet, but so I can't say. But this person will kind of help us with that composition. And we had this idea to have the youth actually do a bigger project that is based on cultures and having them all choose a different country, whether that's like from their culture or just a country they're interested in, or they just close their eyes and pick it on a map. I mean, whatever they want to do. And together create questions that they want to know about these countries. And one of them will definitely be about finding music. Um, and then to add the composition aspect, having them kind of create a melody, and it can be simple with simple rhythms as well, and then turning like trying to find either like on YouTube or maybe a composer that would be willing to collaborate, um, or even if you have these skills, then like, you know, if your song came from Australia, what would the rhythmic, you know, what would the harmony sound like? What instruments would be involved in kind of bringing that so we can help them put together something that is related to that project. So it's kind of like a bigger thing that is not necessarily based on singing, but is something that I think is really important for them to dive into other cultures or even their own. Um, and then with the, like you were saying, Philip, with like the Twinkle Twinkle song, I also had the idea to just do a random question of the day and to send them into breakout rooms or small groups, whatever. Um, and they would talk about these questions that have many answers or no answers, and they can be silly. One of my favorite questions is if you could be a dinosaur with superpowers, what would it be and why? And it's just you get like the most creative insane answers that you would never even think about. So all the way to like, you know, what's going, so this is going on in the world right now, how do you react to it, how do you work against it or for it, um, and having these moments where they can have this personal time with one another and not coming up with an exact answer but rather sharing their thoughts and their thought process. um, so those are kind of the, and then we're also going to try to sing and do some musical literacy. But those are kind of like that culture project, the composition, and then the question of the day that could be musical, it could be based on whatever we're, whatever skill we're doing, or it could just be random and about dinosaurs. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you led us there because let's not underestimate the importance of just having those touch points. Again, early in COVID, when we were all messing around, I would have a theme of the week. And so this little screen behind me, one week it had birthday paper and stuff on it. The next week it was like a luau. And with the adult choir, we had like the beverage of the week. Don't do that with your high school kids, right? You might find out something you don't want to know. But, you know, so there's fun ways that we can kind of, you know, with your college kids, you can do some fun stuff like that too, Patty, you know, and just have there be a theme of the day. Um, I think it's very important. I know you all because I know almost everyone in the room. And Sarah, you work with my colleague Gavin at Mounds View, don't you? Have you worked with Gavin yet? I think he's accompanied out there before. Is there another teacher there
Maybe.
with you?
There's not another one, but I mean, he could have accompanied. Yeah.
Okay, I think he was there before you got there then. So I don't know Sarah, but I know everybody else in the room is what I was getting at. And I know your heart. And Sarah, I imagine you're here too. It's the trauma that everyone has experienced. We can't really articulate it. Like we can't measure it, but we know that we've all been really deeply impacted. And I think it's going to be incumbent upon us, and we're still arts educators, right? we've got to provide that space for them to grapple with those feelings and to get those feel good hormones really flowing so they can process some of the stuff that they're not articulating anywhere else. So that's really a large part of my curriculum too, in my mind. Like, I'm not writing it down as much, but in the interactions, I'm making sure we're going to check in and really get a sense for how everyone's doing. So thank you, Carrie, because you gave us a lot of things to noodle on there with some fun stuff. And you also mentioned like literacy. So that's some other ways we can do collaborative music making right in the moment. If the sight reading factory opportunities, things of that nature, the blob thing that Derek shared with us a few weeks ago in the music roundtable. There's lots of little apps out there. I'm not a big app person, but I would be willing to do that if I could share it on my screen and let them play with it. If I had 110 minutes, you know, like I'd be pulling out all the stops possible to keep them engaged in some kind of musicking. Yeah. Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Rebecca's been with us a few of the other sessions.
Yeah.
Do you want to just tell everybody quickly where you are, where you teach?
Yeah, sorry to be late today. I teach at Wayzata High School, and we are distance learning. And I've been so grateful, Philip, for these days. I have left renewed and recharged, and I can't thank you enough. It's just been so energizing and inspiring. So,
well, thanks for showing up. It's been fun chatting with everybody.
Yeah.
All right, we keep pushing now. So what else is out there? I know, it's just.
Does everybody know how to use the laser pointer in Google Slides to do a lesson? Like if you were doing sight singing, I play a game called laser tag.
Okay.
And I'm sure many of you do something similar to this. So I have the, you know, on my wall are all the Kerwin signs and the solfege, or and the laser pointer, and the kid makes the song, you know. Mm-hmm. And so it's a composition create, but it's also music literacy. And then you can, anyway, I have that on a Google slide. And then there's a feature when you go into present on Google Slide, there's a laser pointer. So if you share your screen with your class, you can have that all rigged up in Google Slides, and you can take a screenshot out of Sight Reading Factory or Finale or whatever you make your music in for a sight reading exercise. And sometimes it's just helpful to have something that's kind of keeping everybody going, and just, I know it cheats the rhythm, right? It hands them the rhythm on a silver platter, but you can use the laser pointer feature in Google Slides, and it's in present mode. So when you make your slides, then all you have to do is share it, go in present mode, and then you're just like zipping around with your laser pointer. And you can do all sorts of things with that. You can have them sing every other note with you, you know, and you sing from you, and all sorts of, you could go around the, you know, say, so-and-so your measure 1, so-and-so your measure 2, and you can unmute, or everybody mute, and you are just talking or singing and doing the thing, but Google Slide laser pointer.
Thank you for that. I was just looking back to my emails because I know at St. Thomas, they sent something like that, but I never used it. So if I find it, I'll pop it in. But has anyone else played with that? Yeah. If we really want to know, I can bounce it off some of the folks who've been doing the high tech stuff too at Cora Moore, because I've kind of been medium tech. Lori?
I used it a lot with my special education students last spring.
Gotcha.
And they love laser tag. They think it's the best thing ever.
Awesome.
So I'm so low tech. I went to school and got my document camera today.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
That was something I was really missing last spring, because you can't really hold something up and do anything. But the document camera, that is my go-to.
So what is a document camera? It's a specific, what is that?
Go ahead, Lori. Yeah, she can show you. I call it like a scanner. Like, what was the thing we used to use back in the day when we had the I can't remember what you called that thing. Overhead. Yeah.
Overhead.
Mm-hmm. It's the same principle for documents.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just stick your, whatever you want them to look at under it, and then you point or do it, cover up what you want to or whatever. But I'm so low tech. That was just today. I just needed to go get that.
Yeah. It was the biggest thing I regretted from teaching at St. Thomas. They offered me one and I said, nah, I don't need it. And I regretted it. Like it worked to do the Zoom share and all that stuff. But then if you want to annotate things, and I just don't have the patience to annotate things. Like it can be done. It's not hard, but it's just not my deal. I'd rather invest my time on other things. So I would literally annotate stuff, use my little scanner and then scan it and then upload it that way. So don't feel bad, Lori. I think it's a very positive thing to have. If you saw me get distracted, my son just came in and with this bag of Legos.
Oh,
This is
that's
not
a
all
pretty
of
subtle hint
these.
there.
These are not all of them. So I'm sitting here thinking, man, I've really bribed you with a lot of Legos over the last 6 months. I have a secret stash of Legos that when he does what he's supposed to do, he gets a little something to play with.
What's he gonna?
He said, I'm going to sleep tonight so I can get more secret stash. We're at the place of go to sleep at the
Yeah,
right
yeah,
time and don't make mom and dad have to sit in your room with you.
yeah.
Yes. So thank you for that personal indulgence. So we've bounced around now. We've got some music literacy stuff. We've got some technical stuff. Another thing, I'll throw one out again just to make you think about it. We didn't get to this the day that we did the rehearsal demonstration, but a lot of the music I'm choosing is homophonic, 4 parts, because I'm working with adults, so I can't really take the parts away. I'm not doing it like SSAA, but SATB stuff. But trying to make it fairly homophonic, the rhythmic complexity is the one thing that I'm stripping away. And so practicing on Zoom by redefining our gestural language, I call it expanded language. So this is hold, breathe, hold, breathe, hold, breathe. So it's a way that I've been able to practice chords. So if we're going through a piece of music and I just say, okay, we're going to go through chord by chord and work our way through, and I can hear, I mean, it's not perfectly balanced, as you know, but if you let it sit there for a second, you can very quickly assess, does everybody have what they need to have? Is there something right or wrong? And they can hear it too. Because I am passionate about finding as many ways to bring their voices into the real space. That was my biggest learning, and you may have experienced this too. Early on, we were doing everything on mute. Frankly, I got tired of my own voice. And I'm sure they did too. So it was like, how can we bring their voices in? And that really helped a lot, just experimenting. So that's it. The chord drill, I call it, but use it with real repertoire. So I was thinking about you specifically, Patty, with your college kids, to really make it feel like we're making progress on our repertoire in real time.
Good.
I was just gonna say, sorry, Rebecca, if you have something on that topic, I was gonna dive away.
Staying there for just a minute. It sounds like you're doing that on Zoom. Yes, Philip?
I am. Yeah, I'm exclusively on Zoom when I'm online.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Zoom has worked really well for me. What I've learned, because I've been playing with it, is my ear now, I can have everyone singing unmuted, and I basically know how far behind me they're going to be.
Okay.
And I can keep going. So I've taken it as a little game. And I had the conducting students do this. So you can ask, so if you're in St. Paul, you can ask Natalia about this. I made them do this with Mindy Escador. She was playing accompaniment. And so it was really to collaborate with a accompanist via Zoom, but just to be evil, but also encouraging. I made them do it in real time. And we processed it afterwards. And what it's like is like conducting an orchestra. If you've ever conducted a professional orchestra or any instrumentalist, they're a little bit behind you. But if you slow down to them, everything slows down, right? And so it's that same process of you're about an eighth to a quarter of a beat ahead of them on Zoom. It drives everyone else crazy. So I wouldn't do it often. But for me, it was a way to get through stuff quickly, to listen to people and just keep going. And before we dive away, Sarah, did you all know the MIDI thing? And I have not. I bought the MIDI thing, but I haven't implemented it yet. So this came out in the webinar that I was on. where we talked about what we can do now in singing. And it's a guy named David Sabella, who's a voice teacher on the East Coast. And he played around with, if you have a keyboard that has a MIDI interface, there is a way that you can hook that keyboard up to a MIDI adapter where your students then hear you in real time. And so I can dig that out and find it for you. You have to download something as well as buy the MIDI adapter for your keyboard. If they do it on their side too, then apparently you can have them unmuted and you'll hear them at pretty much real time too. Not exactly, but close enough. But then they have to download something. So my plan is, because I have the MIDI adapter, is to switch over to a keyboard this fall, and to at least they can hear my playing in real time or close to real time. So if you want more on that, I can dig it out. It's somewhere in my stash of notes from May. Sarah, take us to a new topic.
Yeah, so
Uh-oh, you muted there.
Sorry. For me and Siri, being in a new school district, and for most of you that you're getting new students, a big thing is how we're going to connect with them that we haven't met. But then also, like incoming ninth graders, you have to worry about that, and everyone's new to them. And we've been talking a lot about, obviously the social emotional portion that, you want to make sure that you're not just teaching to your standards or whatever you're working with. And so I've thought about, okay, well, I can think of, projects like Soundtrack of My Life, and like kind of give a basic of, these are the things that have related to me and my family, and like ask your family, what did they grow up listening to, that kind of stuff. Or even specific to the program of, what was your favorite song that you sang in the last years that you've been in choir. But I guess if anyone had ideas more along the first beginning stages of not even necessarily get to know you, we can do fun games over Zoom and that kind of stuff, but a musical way to do that, if anyone had ideas on that, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, let's see what everybody's got.
I kind of do. I think it was one of the Flipgrid conversations, and they were pointing us to the library for the little videos and things that you could use, and and I found one that was a TED Talk. It's in Jersey, and it's a young soprano, and she's talking about everybody as a singer. So I'm really nervous about those beginning, ninth grade women's or soprano, alto, and tenor basses, that how to engage them and get them singing. But anyway, it's really a talk about everyone is a singer. There's really only 0.4% in the world that have the actual tone deafness problem, and but I was looking at that as maybe using the TED Talk for some of my classes, maybe not the beginning one, but to use the ideas that she's presenting, that everyone is a singer, even you. And that would be the title of opening. Everyone is a singer. Singing is essential for everyone, even you. And then going into what makes a singer, what does singing do, who needs singing and why. And one of the things she goes into is the sort of the brain parts of it, the social, the emotional, the endorphins, and all of those things. And then another would be, another segment will be, how am I a singer? Why am I a singer? Why should I sing? And another thing that I kind of like to play with through this year is the idea of John Lewis's Make Good Trouble, as sort of a theme to head towards, and to go into, okay, now that I've decided how and why should I sing, talk about where, when, and what. So those are kind of the, sort of a little outline of things I'm trying to organize my sets of 90 minutes around and towards, and at different degrees depending on the ensemble. Another thing that I've been talking with my daughters that are singers and performers. I'm trying to also collect audios and videos of singers that of simpler songs that we can sing with. And not necessarily the YouTube videos, but people, just people. And for maybe my more advanced singers to see if any of them are willing to offer up their favorite, fairly simple sing-along song that I can have members of other choirs sing with. So those are some of my game plans.
Thank you, Martha. Any other thoughts in there for Sarah?
One thing that I was thinking about, because right, there's always the like create the playlist of your life or whatever, but having them that's how they introduce themselves. So they only have 5 songs to pick from, and then I have to like and so you could throw them into groups and then have them guess like, oh, so you like this, this, and this, and see how accurate or how close, or because some kids just like to pick their favorite songs and don't really think about it, and then when you have to guess like what those kids are trying to say about themselves, it doesn't match up, and then they go back and think of something a little deeper. So I was thinking about diving more into that, and then building community across that way. Okay, now you all go in a room and figure out who's who, or match, once we get along, we could pull those playlists out again and say, okay, match the playlist to the person, and do different things like that. So that's where I'm trying to like, where they don't necessarily have to right away be like, this is my voice, I'm really nervous, who are you, stranger person? But here's someone else's voice that I really resonate with here, as a baby step to get them more comfortable before we start to all sing and explore each other on this virtual platform. So
Thank you, Siri. Yeah. I think that's the whole soundtrack of your life, or using music that's important to them in ways, it works. It really does work, and it gives you insight into what they're listening to also, which impacts the way you might choose programming and things, because you may find something in there. I've been guilty of this in a good way, where I find something they're listening to and going, hey, we can make that into something we can sing together, and it's a hook. All of a sudden now it's like, oh, hey, yeah, this guy's cool. But you can use that in different ways. The last time I did something on that, what was it? It was a song when you're up, something like that, when they're a good day, bad day. Like I put characteristics on it just to see what they would choose, a song that gets you through tough times. And I think I did it with my church youth choir, and that's why I did it that way. It was kind of getting at faith. But you can adapt that. And I guess what I'm saying in a non-articulate way is that you could take this same project and use 6 or 7 iterations of it throughout the year and cultivate or curate this ginormous list that you get to come back to. Maybe you play one of their songs on the way in the room. Maybe it's a shared YouTube playlist or something, if you can do that without having any privacy issues or whatnot. Yeah, Lori?
Yeah, actually, that was right along with like entrance and sending songs, having them put in, their drop the mic song, their out song, right? And then, playing different ones and just having some vibe and some dancing as they're entering and exiting, because that's the most awkward times of any call. And then also, I've been thinking about just having banks of songs ready to go for like the in between.
We lost your audio, Lori. We lost you for a second, but it says you're unmuted. Hold on. Let's try to mute you now. Unmute again. Let's see if it kicks back in. Now try.
Hello?
There, you're back. Yes.
Yeah, I'll probably get kicked out in a minute. If a Zoom call is any bigger than 5 or 6 people, I get kicked off.
Gotcha.
But anyway, some of those transitions between things, again, it just helps give the mood of the classroom. Having some transition musics and having, the Jeopardy theme song when you're asking them to think about stuff, and just things at the ready to just help set them at ease that it's okay to be quiet and silent and not have anyone talking. And that there's those things that would be, just sounds to help give that soundscape of a classroom, I guess.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Lori. I think that's really cool that you're thinking about that. And it works for all ages. So just want to say that again, too. I think in this time, think about the other classes they're in. The teachers are most likely not thinking about this in the same way. So they come to our class and we're going to be the cool teacher. That's not always our goal. But in this time, if they identify and feel like I want to come to Myers class, I want to be in, Patty's class, I want to be there, that's a good thing. So I'm going to geek out for just a second. At first, my Zoom room was set to mute everybody when you came in. It's just like you come in and it's dead silent. And I went with that for like, I don't know, maybe 8 weeks. And I realized this is ridiculous. I hate this. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I realized, especially with the youth, they come in with this rambunctious energy, right? And so one day I just like, everybody unmute yourself. Just unmute yourself and just let them go. It's like, talk to each other. And so we cultivated this. And I now do this in all of my choirs, all of my classes. It's so cool to just let people come on and they know the first thing is we're just going to talk at each other. It's going to be cacophonous. And then all of a sudden I'll do something to get everybody's attention. Now mute yourselves, please. Let's begin. And the cool thing is on the way out, it's the same thing. And so, Soda's community choir, my wife is standing over here. She knows I'm not lying. Last Monday, 6 of the kids stayed on an hour after the call talking because I let the room stay open for a while. And for some reason, I was feeling really gracious on Monday. And so I was outside throwing a frisbee with my son looking at my Zoom screen because they just kept talking. So if we can provide a little space on the end, that 90 minutes, give them 5 minutes just to hang. We wouldn't normally do it that much of it, but they're missing that social interaction. And so maybe it's something else we can give them. So Lori, I think the vibing thing is going to be a winner for sure.
We did a similar thing. I thought it was really a cool idea to like show them videos of other choirs around the world, like all different kinds, collegiate, professional, kids, amateur, outside, inside, all different places. Just an opportunity to show them like what is choir and how does it look in different places, and where, what is your preconception of what choir is versus like all these different things. And we got to a point where they would find the songs on YouTube and bring it, so it still is kind of them taking ownership. But we only had like 12 classes to do this, but I'm sure if you're having them for much longer, that you could really get into some of that. And the other thing that, off of what Philip just said, is we did scavenger hunts as icebreakers. And, I'm working mostly with middle school and elementary, but we have some high schoolers, and I think like the adults, we do it in our staff meetings. They also love it. And like, it's this game called Something Blue, although it's actually something blue, but it's, okay, Sue, pick a color. Oh, she picked purple. So today it's something, go find something purple. And, you can have as many as you want. Like, go find something that makes you laugh, makes you mad, something living. And that was a nice way to get them moving away from their screen to kind of explore their space, and also like talk about things that are meaningful to them. And we always did one that's like, get an object that represents how you're feeling today. So that was a nice way in, especially for the kids who didn't really want to share what they were feeling, but it was a nice way to, kind of gauge their responses. So.
Thank you, Carrie. I love the idea of that's the most organic way I've heard of sharing other choirs. It's part of your plan, but it's really organic and it's natural and it gets them taking the ownership. So what a great way to get them listening, and that's accessible, right? For those of you who need to assess content, standards and whatnot, you can totally turn that into a journaling activity or something there, or put them in pairs and they're getting to know each other while they're listening and talking about what they're hearing. So that's really cool. Sarah, when you introduced this to us and brought us on this thread, you said something, I'm sorry, it's gone now, that I wanted to affirm in the way that you set it up. And I'll try to get it back. So I'm articulating it to try to get it back. But there was something that you said in your original phrasing of this that I thought was really insightful and showed that you really are on the right track. So I'll try to keep pulling it up. I know that doesn't help you, but basically I'm saying go with your instincts, because I thought it was like, hey, that's going to work. One of your ideas there. What else is on your mind? This is really fruitful. I may be taking the most personally from this one because I'm thinking I'm going to be both in that distance and in person. And how can I shake up my distance rehearsals a little bit? This is fun. Thinking of some new possibilities. Should I play the Jeopardy theme song? I'm
I
sorry.
was just, I can add. I was just thinking that with the uh, with the flip grid, I think that's one thing that I learned in one of your previous sessions, that you can record while the teacher is doing it, the students can do that. And I think that I'm like going to try, I have a goal of, I'm going to do once a week that we're going to do that. But then another, I think it was the same one where we learned the more waters rising.
More waters rising. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And something like that is so simple as like an introductory to a class, I think. For me, it's hard because with distance learning, they haven't given us like you have an allotted time of 30 minutes or whatever. And I think that that would be so cool that, you know, maybe that's what we work on for the week, or, you know, breaking it down. But I think coming up with all these different cool ideas, I think, you know, the Justice Choir song or Justice Songbook and the what's the other one?
We Rise.
We Rise.
Yep.
Taking full advantage of those, because I just know that I've already had emails from parents saying, what are concerts going to look like? And we're kind of thinking, okay, we're distance learning. We're not thinking that, you know, kind of that far ahead. But utilizing those different tools, and also the flip grid, I think is going to be huge, just so I can evaluate what kids are getting from me, but also that they're still singing along.
Mm-hmm. You brought up something really important there, Sarah. I think it's important that you all communicate with parents, and Patty, in your case, the students themselves, what's going to happen, you know, like what's the end game? And if you don't know, to be honest about that. I think people appreciate the honesty at this period of time of, you know, there is no end game. We're going to make music and we're going to share it with each other, and we're going to grow and learn and wait to hear what happens. Maybe your end game now, or maybe you do have something in mind of, we're going to do this as our presentation, and it's going to look like this, just so they get a sense for what you're thinking. And then you can kind of end run people who want to tell you what the end game should be. Because I did hear from a lot of peers in certain districts where parents devalued the choral class because there wasn't anything that resembled what we did before. And so it's like, we don't have to do this anymore. You know, why are you making my child sing? That kind of thing. So, does someone have to leave? Oh, sorry about that, Sarah. Head out there. So just something to think about there for everybody in that regard, to communicate where you're going. And since I brought that up, does anybody have an idea yet? Have you all figured out what does it look like? Are you sharing out?
I do anticipate that we will do. We had done some in the spring, some of the virtual performances, and we gained some insights into how to do it more successfully as we went. And so we will probably put together some kind of a virtual concert in the end. Might only be 3 or 4 pieces, but there will be something. Our Christmas, I think it's our Christmas, Advent Christmas concert will happen.
Anoka Hennepin is going to put 10 choirs together in one virtual choir song, unified song. We're going to pay somebody to dash that seriously. But, you know, that's expensive. And so normally it's Sue's hacker versions are what they're going to get to see. I think that by not having to do that for the one song, create the guide tracks, blah, 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 by having all of us contributing to the process together, that allows us to distribute the work of all of it, plus then dividing up the money to pay somebody to make that one special thing. But we normally do a big concert in October together, and that's gone, and that will be felt by especially our oldest students. And we wanted to create a special moment. So that's one song. And then we thought we could each present some sort of a slide show, something from each school with singers, why do I sing, or something, like that, to extend the concert. And have each choir or each school represented uniquely as well. So we're still working on all of those ideas, but that's just a way of dividing and conquering.
Cool.
So Martha committed me yesterday to doing that on a wide scale, because we started our urban choir festival last year, and so she convinced me that vocal lessons should do, and I think it's going to be with Melanie the Moore with her piece One Foot in Front of the Other. And so we'll open it up to everybody to submit and create one big one, and we're going to use the song along platform. So all of you see me demonstrate song along, I think, so I won't show it to you now, but I'll say if you all want to get in on the testing it, I'm now sharing it with a few people who want to test out the platform, because I've had success now 3 weeks in a row with church. This is the platform, Patty, I think you were there for this one, where it synchronizes all the tracks. So this was a result of a conversation. It was a dream early in COVID with one of our singers. It's like, wouldn't it be great if you could just sing, like go to one device and you just sing, and the director gets the tracks and it's done. And that's what this platform does. And so we created it. And by we, I had the artistic vision, and then these two engineer types made it happen. And so I've been the artistic advisor, and it's really cool to watch them work and pull this together. They're both choral singers who have the technical, skill to do this. And so we're working out the kinks, but it's really, really, really close to like launching wider. And in talking to them about it, the whole goal is to make it usable. So we're not like trying to price it out where it's going to be ridiculous prices and stuff like that. In the beginning, we just want people testing. And since I'm the one pushing it, I can share it with anybody who wants to test it. And then you can use it to do a project and see what happens, with your kids.
I'd love to be a part of that.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll send you all a link, an invitation to join one of my projects, which you don't have to submit, but then you can see it as a singer, and then you can do your own project and decide, if this is something good. Thanks for joining us, Carrie.
Thanks, everybody. See you.
Thank you, everybody. Good luck.
So we've got a few more minutes if you want to stay, or we can wrap. It's either way, whatever you all need to do. Siri, were you waving to say something?
Yeah, I was just, I did not do a virtual thing because I felt like everyone was doing it, and I helped a lot with graduation and all that, those videos. So I actually got this from graduation. Our art teacher gave he was voted the speaker, or the faculty speaker, and he did it all visual. Like he spoke over, he took pictures, and he drew as he spoke. It was really cool. And so I think we have been doing a lot of work, but putting it on the kids and seeing what they come up with. I mean, some of those TikTok videos are really impressive, and just being I feel like kids could also just do the visual part of it. And sure, mixing tracks and all that is a whole other thing, but I mean, who knows? I taught my kids how to layer on GarageBand, and we spent 3 weeks doing that with all kinds of different things. We started with random sounds, and then we went to rounds we knew, and then we went to okay, here's a 3-part song. Well, I'll teach you each part, but then you have to figure out on GarageBand how to layer your voice and have it match up. So I think there's a lot of ways to put it back on the kids. And it was really fun to see a lot of their different, what they came up with. And even some of I know technology is sometimes a burden or a hurdle, but even some of the low-tech kids came up with really cool ways to get around apps that weren't working or things like that. So there are a lot of cool ways to put it back on them, so you don't feel like, oh my God, I have to do this 1,000-person thing all by myself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And some of the most impactful ones I saw were ones where it was either a slideshow or it was people holding up signs that they created, So you're right. The visual thing can be accomplished in many different ways. And having the students create that could be game changer, as Tesfa would say. the one thing, so I had SOTA, we had our evaluation for the year Monday, and part of it was I introduced our 4 concerts for the next year and let them just spend some time noodling on what should they look like and just unleash them. Like, I have a vision in my mind. It's going to be multidisciplinary, but I just wanted to see where they would go. And that's exactly where they went. It's like, we could do spoken word, we could do poetry, we could draw, someone could dance, it's like a solo, I can play my guitar and sing something. So it doesn't have to be 6 choral pieces or 5 ensemble pieces. You could have 1 ensemble piece and then the rest of it's little individual moments there, right? We have a chance to rethink what choir concert can be, which is really kind of refreshing, I think. This is Lydia Grace, by the way, if you've never met Lydia. So my climber here.
Oh, look what
he's built. Yeah, he's working right here alongside me. So I just think that's empowering, that we can make the concerts whatever we want them to be now. Welcome to my normal existence. You all get this too. Like, this is the joy of working at home, that we get to be close to our kids. So when does everybody start?
We got delayed. Anoka Hennepin's delayed until we have this welcome week thing, which is not, but they go pick up their stuff and they can walk around the school for X amount of minutes and then get out. And they're not, we're supposed to put a picture of ourselves on the door and apparently sit inside a room and do work or something. I don't quite get that yet, but yeah, we're not the land of the intuitive decision making. I think there's a lot of that going around. We don't own that, but yeah. But then we have students in a distance platform only for 2 weeks starting the 15th.
We start on the 9th. And so we have my interdisciplinary class that's not a music class that I teach is hybrid. And so it's once face-to-face in a specially set up room and then once a week not. And so that'll be the first day for that will be the 10th. So I have a couple weeks.
Yeah, we're after Labor Day.
Got it.
Yeah, we're the same on Tuesday the 8th.
On Tuesday, okay. Yeah.
And we are Monday the 14th. So we have 2 weeks, and then we'll be every other day at that point, with Fridays as a catch-up day, which is pretty typical, I think. Philip, what might the time frame look like for Vocal Essence project One Foot in Front of the Other?
Yeah, since it just came up yesterday,
I know.
should probably figure that out.
I know.
You know what I think I'm going to try to do? So it probably isn't doable. Like, I'd like to get it in time to include in that virtual ACDA thing, but I think it's too tight because they're starting running that earlier. So I talked to Stephanie Trump yesterday. I just need to ask her about it and see what the timeline, or talk to Bruce. So I'll let you all know right away. I probably will open it right away, so it can be like one of the first things you do. What I want to do is get in touch with Melanie, because I talk to her all the time, and we're past due, to see if she will create a special video introduction to talk to all the kids, all the students, and talk about the genesis of the song. I told some of you about this. She wrote it the day after Donald Trump was elected in 2016. We were in the car together, so I was the first person to hear it, and then we took it to North High School and some other places that day. And she's written these 4 parts to it. It's so cool with the 4 parts. So I think she'd be excited about it. And then she could create an introduction. She could teach all the parts and like guide tracks or whatever, and then just have people go in and they get to sing with Melanie, right? How cool is that? And then all I have to do is just take it, sync it, and we'll get someone to make it look pretty off a song along. Yeah. So I'll probably open it mid-September, it's one of those things that I've just said we're going to do, but I need to go back and tell the rest of the staff we're going to do this now. But yeah, I do have the license to do that as long as it's not going to blow my budget. So it's going to happen. And I appreciate you all for inspiring it. So,
well, let us know how we can come alongside and support that.
Yeah.
Financially or whatever, I'm sure there are grants out there for things like that, but in the immediacy of just needing to get it done, we're on your side and we'd be so grateful.
Well, thank you. I think it can be really, I don't think I need money. I just want you to get your kids involved. We've also made a decision with our witness program this year, the school program. Everything is online. So we're like doing video lessons. So there's no like curriculum if you've done that before. We're creating all videos, the teachers workshop. So T. Michael and Ginger and all those folks, they're all online. And this year's theme is, Will You Be a Witness? Music of Social Change Movements. So I think it'd be really good for high schools this year. Bye, Lori. It's good to see you. So be on the lookout for that. I think I sent you all a link to a video thing where you could check it out and come join us in our teacher orientation next week. But I guess why did I get into that? Oh, because we made a decision to make it completely free to the participants.
Wow.
And we're looking to get some corporate sponsorship because I think it's something people will pay for on the outside since we're reaching a wider audience. So, yeah. Patty, you can bring your students along too if you want to be a part of the 1 Foot Project. I mean, it doesn't just have to be high school, I guess. We can make it broader.
Right. My students love 1 Foot. I did it in Rep and Blue last fall, I think it was. And
it vibes. It does vibe. It has a good
I
vibe.
think almost every kid in there sang one of those solo things. And if you've ever met Rep and Blue, that's monumental that every kid in there was doing that.
Gotcha.
And they were having so much fun. So some of them that are coming back, well, like that'll spread like contagiously through Blaine High School, even online. That, oh my gosh.
Yeah, to do it.
The whole audience heard it. Yeah, and it was very endearing.
Very cool. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it.
Please send me the stuff because I have kids that'll be so excited, and they love Melanie. They love her.
Excellent. I will make it. It's so funny how when this thing started, I was like, I will not do one of those physically distanced choir things. Like we were singing, but I was like, I'm not going to create one of those things. Like we'll sing differently. But now I'm all into it.
I did the same thing. I was like, okay, I'm a tech geek, but I know how putsy that is, and I know what that takes to learn and all that. That's how I was last spring, and then I was like, yeah, but I want one.
Yeah, right.
And then I started dinking around with it, and it actually got infectious. Yeah.
It's not as bad as you think, right? If you haven't done it. And Siri, I still think you get the comment of the afternoon. Give it to the students.
Yeah.
Because some of them already are playing around with video editing and stuff. They would love to. And frankly, we're past the grid now, by the way. And that's the new thing in the virtual choir. We're beyond the grid. So no one wants to see 3 minutes of the grid song. We want you to tell a story or do something creative with it, incorporate it with the grid. So that makes it easier for the students to get involved, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this has been fun, everybody.
An idea would be last night they did the All of Us virtual choir premiere, and they avoided the grid, completely. And they used, of course, images from images about social justice and the pandemic, and it was much more interesting and drew us in. So,
did they use some of the real live performance footage too, with the in conjunction with the other?
They did, like Montclair in New Jersey, their live performance from December 2019, but they didn't use actual sound from it.
Right, just images, some of the images, I guess.
Yeah, and some video from it. And it didn't exactly line up, but that didn't bother you because you knew it was just authentic and it was very temporary.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
That just gave me an idea to make a responding to music assignment to dump in our folder of responding to music assignments we're making right now in curriculum writing. Thank you, Rebecca.
Well, you're going to see great images of masks, of protests, of vigils, and it sparks all this imagination. And of course, the song is a song of hope. So, and it's not up on their website yet, but it will be soon.
Okay, I'll watch for it.
Now, who is it?
Conspirare.
Oh,
Greg,
Conspirare.
Yeah, Greg Hella Johnson's group. So
Yeah.
they did it's like 400 and something singers, right?
177.
Yeah, so these are people who had collaborated with them in the Considering Matthew Shepard concerts around the country. And so they invited people to submit recordings to do a big virtual choir.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be on the lookout for it. I missed the premiere last night, but I'll find it when it shows up.
Yep. I was running. What a dork I was. It was like 95 degrees.
It was hot.
Yeah. I just had to get away. I had to just like go run.
I understand.
We all know.
I'm going back to my 6 a.m. boxing with my mask on. Everyone wears a mask and I'm the only one who boxes in my mask. It works. I'm just like, I will not take that off in public. And it feels good to get back and do something though somewhere. That's for sure. Well, I'm really grateful to you all for hanging around. This has been a good conversation again. So tomorrow, I think there's one more while you're working tomorrow. So a few people may pop on at 10 or whatever is the last catch-all. But I'll make this recording available by tomorrow. You can
Thank you. Okay, thanks so much.
So I might be at the ESC testing the various masks.